What if your heart is the switch that opens your womb? On today's episode on Fertile Frequencies Radio, I'm joined by Dr. Lisa Grant, a 5-element acupuncturist who blends Eastern wisdom with functional medicine to decode the heart and womb connection, nervous system safety, and the power of saying no to protect your fertile energy. If you're over 35, navigating endo, PCOS, unexplained infertility, or repeat loss, this one's for you. Dr. Lisa Grant is a licensed acupuncturist and doctor of Chinese medicine. She is also a certified fellow on the Acupuncture and TCM board for reproductive medicine. She has been practicing in Las Vegas for over 15 years, specializing in fertility, women's health, and histamine intolerance. She loves supporting women with undiagnosed fertility challenges, endometriosis, PCOS, repeat miscarriages, and those 35 and older. Trained in 5-element acupuncture, Lisa's approach centers the heart and emotion connection and integrates a functional medicine viewpoint, offering a truly holistic Eastern and Western path for healing. Her perspective is personal. She's the mother of 2 grown sons and experienced 3 miscarriages on her own journey. Off duty, she's owned by 2 cats and enjoys hiking, traveling, and regular trips to Japan, where she lived for 12 years. Tap that follow button and let's tune in to your fertile frequency. Welcome back to Fertile Frequencies Radio. I'm so excited to have my colleague Lisa Grant here today on Fertile Frequencies. She is absolutely incredible. She is also an FABORM certified acupuncturist, as well as I am. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Lindsay. Thank you. Happy to be here today.
Lisa, so tell me a little bit more, just getting an idea about what your perspective on what spiritual connection and the emotional aspect of fertility, what that really means to you and your work.
Sounds good. So, I'm trained as a 5-element acupuncturist, which is it's a much smaller tradition here in the United States in terms of how acupuncturists are trained. And the 5-element tradition really focuses on the emotional and call it spiritual aspect of healing. Everything happens within this body. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the body too. But especially in a Western culture, we focus very strongly on the body, and the emotional aspects and the spiritual aspects of whatever is going on in your life aren't something that we really have any systems or any cultural way of addressing. So, when I was trained in this, I didn't actually get into, when you're doing 5-element training, you don't have a specialty, right? You don't do pain, or you don't do fertility, you don't do anything. We focus on just the overall aspect of the emotions and the spirit in the path of the patient's or the person's healing. And it wasn't until after I graduated and moved to Las Vegas that the universe started tapping on my door and then kind of banged it. And then a friend of mine basically blew the door open and was like, I need you to do this for me, which I got into the fertility. Because she was like, I need help getting pregnant and I need you to help me because I don't want to go to anybody else. And I had actually had my own issues with trying to build a family years prior. I had 3 miscarriages, 5 pregnancies, 3 miscarriages. 2 of them actually I carried to term. And I had not done a lot of my own work around that. So I was like, no, I don't think I can deal with that, because what if it doesn't work? What if my patients miscarry? Am I going to be able to carry them while I'm dealing with my own feelings? So my friend basically was like, no, you have to do this. And I'm like, okay. So I started looking into it, researching it. And as I was doing this, I got both more interested and engaged, because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's really a lot that we can do, I can do in this area. And also unhappy, because I was like, wait a minute, this area where women are struggling with fertility and struggling with like the emotions around it and struggling with just the spiritual injury that how come everybody else can get pregnant, and women are supposed to be able to like get pregnant. We're told our whole lives to avoid getting pregnant. How come this is so hard now? And the lack of information on dealing with the emotional and the spiritual aspect around it, and also just a lot of the misinformation that is floating around on the internet or Dr. Google. It was just like the two things put together. I'm like, yeah, okay, I think maybe I just found what I'm supposed to do. um so yes, everything that I do with my patients, or a lot of what I do with my patients, is focused on physical things, but that's because our bodies are the vessel for the emotional and the spiritual. And so many women come in either because they don't want to do Western medicine, because they don't want to put themselves through the emotional and financial and just physical cost of IVF, or so many women who are going through that and they're like, it's not working. And all of them are like, something is wrong with me. Like that's always the door. Something is wrong with me. And it's like, so part of a part of where I start is there's nothing wrong with you. There are things that are blocking your ability to get pregnant, and it might be a lifestyle issue. It might be, an undiagnosed underlying cause, a physical issue, a medical issue, but also that negatively reinforcing spiral of there's something wrong with me. And then that separation between body and emotions, where it's like, this is something I have to defeat and overcome. It creates emotion, like energetically, this battlefield in the body, and nothing good comes out of war. Right?
Right.
It's never good. I mean, any war where there's a victory, you may have defeated the forces of evil, but the destruction is just awful. So it's part of my practice is having my patients work with, like, are you occupying your life? Like, do you even show up in your own life? It's like
Right.
you're doing all these things. Are you there? Like, how are you nurturing yourself? What are you doing for yourself to make yourself happy every day? Like, what are you doing to nourish your emotions and your spirit? Spirit in the sense of who you are as a person, how you're showing up as a person. Who are you? Because each of us is individual. So, like, what are you doing to nurture yourself as your spirit in your life, and not just like dump all this stuff in your body to try and make fertility happy? So that's the emotional and spiritual part. It's your fertility does not stop at like your neck. It's not just what's happening from the neck down. It's like,
Mhm.
that center part where your heart is, that's really important. And we don't nurture and cultivate that in our modern society. And what's going on in your head that maybe is you're telling your head is telling your body one thing, your heart is telling your head the other thing. And it's like, and they're not connecting with each other. So that's where a part of where I start work is are you showing up in your life? Are you living life for yourself? Are you taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually? Because if you're not doing that, it's not a what do you call it? It's not like a side concern. It's not a side gig. It's
Right.
something that needs to be central to what's going on.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was a really long
absolutely.
answer to a short question.
Right. I love that. Well, thank you so much for all of that. You bring up something that I find to be very powerful. You brought up a lot that's very
Yes.
powerful, but something that's definitely coming up that I talk a lot about, and I'd love to hear your perspective on is, can you talk about the Chinese medicine perspective of the heart connecting with the uterus and really what that means for people? Because I think a lot of people don't understand. Possibly there could be people listening, but there seems to be it's a very important part of getting pregnant, and this is part of Chinese medicine. So if you could give us some information on that, I would absolutely love that.
Oh, yeah. So we were taught in school that the heart is called the supreme controller. One of the things is that, you have in Chinese medicine, you have 12 everyday working meridians, and each one of these meridians is connected with an organ. So if you ever tell or hear your acupuncturist talk about like your liver meridian or your heart meridian or your kidney meridian, especially around fertility, we're probably not talking about the actual organ, right? But we give these names to the meridians because the name of the meridian and the organ that it's associated with indicates to us not like where the pathway is, so where is the meridian running on your body physically, the function of that meridian, which is encompassing, for example, not just like the physicality of the organ, but sort of an overall organizing principle. And then there's like a spirit associated with it, like emotions and spirit are associated with it. So the heart meridian is, I tell my patients, I'm like, the heart meridian is the center of your universe. She's the queen, right? She needs to be front and center and sitting on the throne. She's not necessarily doing a lot, right? She's not down there grubbing in the dirt and writing the documents, right? That's her ministers take care of that. But the heart holds the center. And if she is centered and in place and holds moral center in the energetic universe and in the way you work, you are being who you are supposed to be. And from that, everything evolves and works and harmonizes together, because the queen, by her energetic of being centered and stable and content and joyful, that tells everybody else how things are going, right? And there's a very special connection between the heart, the queen, and the uterus. And there's a treatment that I do for my patients, especially post IVF, where I tell them, look, we have this saying in Chinese medicine that the heart opens the womb. Mm-hmm. And you may want children before you find the partner in life that you're going to have kids with, but you don't really do anything about it. And your body and your heart and your uterus really aren't talking about it until you find that person. And then you're like, yes, this is the person that I want to create a new life with. And the heart is what opens up the womb and says, hey, we're really going to do this now. And there's a very special meridian. It's a special little meridian called the Bao Mai, which connects the heart with the uterus. And so most of my patients, I will do Bao Mai treatments on them when we're in the treatment room, because I want the heart and the uterus talking to each other. And although a queen, it's usually one-way directional, like in human life, right? That the queen gives the orders and everybody else just pays attention. In Chinese medicine, it's always a dialogue. So we need the uterus talking to the heart and the heart talking to the uterus. And this needs to be a two-way communication. And when those two are open and talking to each other, then your body, because remember, this is all happening in the body will be like, oh, okay, so I guess I need to actually devote resources to this fertility thing, because up until now, I haven't really done that. I mean, it happens, right? You get your period and your cycle or whatever. But if it's not happening regularly, if things are thrown off, if things aren't working well, then the heart and the uterus aren't talking to each other. So I open that just to make sure that the heart and the uterus are clear. The body is clear that, yeah, this is something that needs its own amount of energy and its own amount of resources and its own sort of place in the universe of what's going on, in the constellation of what's going on. So the heart opens the womb. And when people come in and this is, it's mostly women, although it can happen with men too, but when women come in and they're so overwhelmed with like the demands of work or the demands of family, or so many women in American culture, we are taught that we have to be the appeasers, we have to be the pleasers, we have to give our energy away to other people. And the issue is you only have so much energy. And if you're giving it away, you have to make do with what's left. And making do almost never works, because fertility, as much as a woman may want that in her mind and in her heart, if her body is being told by her actions that she has to give away all this energy, then the body is going to be like, well, I only have, instead of the full like 80% that I was expecting to be able to work with, if I've only got like 50 or 40 or 30% to do the rest of my life in, we're not going to do fertility this month. Let's do that next month. Because this is not important for the maintenance of life, right? I don't have to do this. I want to do this, but I don't have to do this. So we're going to wait for things to get a little better, and we'll do that next month. And maybe we'll do that next month.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that later. It's always
Sure.
later because you don't have to be pregnant. You may
No.
want to be pregnant. You have to be pregnant. And so getting the heart involved back in and putting the queen on the throne so the queen can go, wait a minute, this is more important right now than anything else to me. That's not important out there. I mean, that has to be done. But do I really need to be spending as much energy as I'm spending on it out there? I mean, can I switch it and can I be do good enough out there? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just good enough to do whatever it is that I need to do to, create the paycheck or, make people happy in life, or maybe not even make people happy in life, but start to reclaim for yourself that energy that is yours that you have been giving away because for whatever reason, whether you think you have to or because that's yet, whether it's job or family connections, and reclaiming that and giving it back to your body and allowing the queen to say, no, that is not my priority. My fertility is my priority. I want this baby, and I want this baby more than any of that other stuff out there. And that's when things start to shift, because when the woman reclaims her power and says, no, this is important. This needs to happen now. I've waited long enough. I want this. Then what it does is allows her heart to go, great. So now I can start prioritizing. I
Mhm.
can start saying that I'm not spending this much energy on that. I need to spend this much, but that's all I need to spend. I don't need to spend all of it. And oh, that thing over there, yeah, I don't need to spend all that money or energy on that either. I can reclaim it. And when the heart is allowed to start making these decisions and enforcing them about no, the priority is fertility. The priority is this baby because this needs to happen now. Then it reorganizes how the woman is making decisions, how she's spending her energy, and reprioritizes that Bao Mai connection, that heart uterus connection. And that's when things start to open up, and it's a whole lot easier for me as the acupuncturist and us as me and the patient, because this is always a partnership. I can't, it doesn't work when I just have my patients come in and lie on the table and they don't change anything and I just put needles in. I'm like, the needles will help us get to where we want to go, but they're not going to fix everything. This has to happen overall, right? It's like, yeah, you're nodding. It's like, yeah, it has to be, the needles are a therapy to help you shift things once you've started realigning where your priorities are. And the priorities are, you want this baby. So that's that heart uterus connection. And it comes from reprioritizing yourself and your heart and what your heart's true desire is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for all of that. And I couldn't agree with you more. Your heart is the epicenter of the entire thing. It's the emperor, right? So we've heard that. And also I won't talk too much about Christ consciousness today, but if we think about the picture of Christ and the Sacred Heart, really what that is meaning is that's where you connect with the universe is through your heart, which is it's more about an energy center versus an actual physical organ. And so that does connect with the uterus because the uterus is not just men have a uterus too. It's a place of creation. And so they don't have a physical organ, but it's a place of creation. And to be able to create, you have to have an open heart center because it does communicate with that place of creation. So it's like the soul is communicating with the physical body, which is going to be the feminine energy, which is creation, it's receiving, it's fertility. And fertility is not just about having babies, as we know, it's about creating anything and creative energies.
Yep.
So it is very interesting, and I love how your philosophy on it and how you talked about that because I want people to know more about how powerful the heart and the womb space or place of creation is, and anything that you're doing, not just fertility, but just that's how you find your power is really being
Yeah.
able to have those connect. And so, thank you so much for that. So. Do you have any favorite stories? I always like hearing this. Do you have any favorite stories of clients over the years? I'm sure you have millions or thousands of clients over the years that had quite a moving experience where they had connected, they had used this guidance with the heart and the uterus connection.
So one of the, and this is, I had multiple stories around this. So there's one really powerful word that I tell my patients. I'm like, the most powerful word in your vocabulary is no, in terms of where you're going to spend your energy. So, and I'm like, especially at work, right? Because how often at work do women feel like they have to say yes if they're asked to do this extra thing or the party planning or the, staying late to do the this, that, or the whatever. And, there's always this awareness that, well, if I say no, maybe somewhere down the road in the future that will harm me. Maybe that will do something and I won't get the project that I want to be on, or I won't get the promotion or whatever. And so, what I teach my patients is like, look, I want you to go to work and I want you to observe the men in your workplace. And I want you to watch how often they say no. And they'll come back and they'll go, wow, they say no, like way more than I do or even other women do. And I'm like, okay, yeah, exactly. It's like, does it seem to be hurting them? No. And what happens to that thing that they said they didn't want to do? Well, somebody else does it. Yeah, was that you? Yeah, I said yes. So yeah, so it's I've had multiple patients go to work and I'm like, just start small, but I want you to say no when somebody asks you to do something extra, especially if it's not something that you need to do, want to do, or have the time to do. And I'm like, and this is going to be really scary the first time you do it. And they'll come back and I'm like, start small, right? Just start small. So they'll come back and I'll be like, okay, so did you say no? I said no. What'd you say no to? Well, they wanted somebody to take on this extra project. It was only going to be like an extra hour or two a week. Um, and they came to me first. And I'm like, why do you think that is? Well, because I always say yes.
Mhm.
Yep. I was like, so how'd it go? What'd you do? And she said, I said no. I was like, and how was that? And she's like, I was terrified. I'm like, yeah, it's really scary.
Mhm.
But then what happened? She's like, and she said, nothing. They went to the other person in the office who always says yes, if and that person said yes. And I said no, and nobody said anything about it. Actually, my boss was just like, oh, okay, no worries. I'll just ask somebody else. I was like, okay, did the world stop? No. Did the sun stop shining, or like, the earth flow off its axis? No. Like, how did it feel? Scary, but really, really good. All right. Okay. So your homework is every time a request comes in, I want you to evaluate whether or not it's worth your
Mhm.
energy to do this, because it's never just an extra hour or two, because there's always more stuff. And this is exponential, a 1 hour project, but that means all those other people, the connections and the paperwork. And a 1 hour project always involves a whole lot more than just an hour, right? So, and this person was an administrative assistant, the person I'm thinking of specifically. And administrative assistants often feel like they have to say yes because, they feel like that's their job. And after a few weeks, she came back and she's like, I said no to something much bigger. She's like, and it felt good. And my boss looked at me and was like, is everything okay? And she said, yeah, it's just that I'm realizing how much work I'm already doing and I really can't take anything else on. And honestly, if you want this done well, you need to give it to somebody else because I can't do that right now. It's just too much. And the boss was like, okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. And that was that. So and what happened was, with that extra energy, she just felt more relaxed. She
Mhm.
didn't feel as strained. It's like a lot of women feel like they're they're walking on a tightrope because it's like they're balancing so much and they're barely keeping, they've barely got enough energy to keep everything, oh, maybe not a tightrope, more like a juggling act. Like they're just like, I can't add one more thing. So what she did was by saying no to a few other things. And then as other projects finished up, she was like, oh, I'm juggling less. Things are
Mhm.
fine. I can go home a little earlier. I can actually eat a decent meal. I'm cooking. I feel better because I can cook, because I'm eating good food that nourishes me rather than like takeout and rushing around and rushing through my meals. And she just felt better. And what that meant for me was that her pulses were just feeling fuller. Her body was relaxing. It's like there was just more energy to then take and remind our body that we wanted to do the fertility thing, because I can only work with what comes in the door. I can't, acupuncture doesn't make energy. There's some reserve points that we can tap into, but you tap out the reserves and then you're done. So it's so much easier for us to do what we want to do for the fertility if the woman is recognizing that she has agency in her life and she can make her decisions and she can say no. And so, like this administrative assistant, it was just, I was like, how are you feeling? She's like, I just feel better. I don't feel so strained. I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel like I'm barely keeping it together. She's like, I'm laughing more. I just feel better. And so it's that idea of, yes, that heart energy, when you're allowed to occupy your own space, when you're allowed to be your own person, where you're allowed to say no so that then you can lead a calmer lifestyle, which will then, by definition, because it's calmer, it's quieter, it's deeper, it's a deeper life, that actually gives the woman more connection to her creativity, her fertility, and her body can go, yes, we have abundance. We can do this baby making thing, which takes a lot of energy. We can do all of these things because we have enough. And that's, I think, just saying this, I'm just saying this and realizing this now. Part of that heart uterus connection is that agreement, is that understanding that, yes, there's abundance. There can be enough to do whatever life is that you think you have to do outside, but also enough abundance internally because you're not giving it all away to be able to do that creative nurturing process.
Right, absolutely. And that's so wonderful to hear about your client. And it's amazing because you have changed her life for the
Yeah.
better, not just with her fertility journey, but also teaching her. I don't really, I think more guiding her really to her
Right.
power within and learning that she needs to fill up her own cup first,
Yeah.
and how much of an impact that has on her health overall. And if we do just talk about the fertility journey, that we
Yeah.
can see if we're looking at the hormones on a diagnostic test, which a lot of people want, they want to see their hormones on a test. That we'll see that those hormones will actually start to regulate
Yep.
and become normalized when people are doing work on the mind body connection and they're really taking care of their mind and their energy, and that their body is always listening
And their
and
heart. And
following in
their
their
heart.
heart.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
something else that's powerful too is that women, the most sacred place on a woman is actually her uterus, so her sacral chakra. And so that is an area that gets very blocked up when women feel resentful or angry. Those energies will actually go right to that, as well as the heart center too.
Yep.
And with that connection, with that being blocked, it makes it really hard for the body to say, if we're just talking about energy, which everything is energy anyway,
Yep.
that, oh, I'm not ready to have a baby because I got a crampy uterus. I have a uterus that's cold. I have a uterus that is not willing to open up and really to allow this new life in. So, energy is number one. And you're right, with acupuncture, you can only do so much. And I've
Mhm.
had clients that have been seeing acupuncturists for a very long time and have not had the success. And it's not that the acupuncturist is not good. It's just that it's probably because they need more. They need more work on really the mind-body connection and really being able to. Everyone's journey is different. We
Yep.
can't think that everybody's the same or compare our lives. And I'm always telling people that because they will say, well, it's so easy for this person to get pregnant. Why can't I?
Right.
Because you have a different journey than that person.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We just have to figure out what you need. And
Yeah.
then your overall journey will enrich. And then you'll be in the best version of yourself to be a parent too. It's not just about getting pregnant,
Right. It's
but
about
really
staying
enjoying it.
pregnant. Yep. What I tell my patients is I'm like, look, this is not just that, part where you get pregnant. I'm like, there's that 9-month journey while the embryo is developing into a fetus and then eventually is going to be like an independent, like human being. I'm like, and then you're on the hook for at least the next 18 years for taking care of this human being and helping and nurturing them and helping them grow to be the best person you can. I'm like, you're talking about 19 years. That's a lot of energy.
Right.
So if you're having all this, like if you're giving all this energy away now, I'm like, where are you going to fit a baby into this? Because the baby is actually going to suck down way more energy than
Right.
anything else in your life. And it is a joy and a blessing and a gift to be able to do this. But if you don't make room for that baby in your body now, how do you think you're going to be able to deal with it once it shows up? So
Mhm.
so start changing things now because you're basically creating the foundation for the next 19 years, right? And I mean, and as anybody who is I mean, anybody who's either been a child, that would be all of us, or a parent, which is many of us or what many of us aspire to be, it's like that relationship with your parent doesn't usually just end. Like, it's like how many people still call their parents up to get some advice about something that's going on and they're like 54 and dad is like 70 something. I mean, this is a lifelong relationship and we'd like it to be as full and abundant as possible. And that starts with recognizing that yeah, it's you have to make room for it in your life energetically and emotionally and spiritually because it's then going to occupy that niche in your life for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
right? That's a lot of energy.
It is a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy. And I keep thinking, anyone listening to the show, and Lisa, too, that I'm an intuitive medium and spirit baby
Mhm.
medium. So I'm always getting messages, but I'm just seeing a lot of like the baby in water. And you're also have a beautiful picture behind you that's water, but I keep seeing the water element and asking you about that and really how we come into this world through water and
Yep.
just thinking about Chinese medicine and how that is such a foundational part of having a baby, just because of the kidney energy. And I know that your gears are going. I mean,
Oh yeah. I'm like,
like I want to talk about this.
so do we have another 6 hours? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so the kidney meridian, remember, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your kidneys, but the kidneys do process water like in the body. Like that is their fundamental thing. And water is so fundamental to this process to the point at which because remember, I live in Vegas. We're in the desert. Everybody is walking around dehydrated. And I think 99% of my patients come in and they're dehydrated. And I'm like, if you aren't drinking water, I literally cannot do anything because water is the basis of blood. Blood is how we nourish eggs. We don't want your eggs to be dried up little raisins. We want them to be nice, plump little grapes. I'm like, we have to start with water, especially in the desert, right? So this awareness of water and fluidity, and if you think about it, like when somebody is moving really well and gracefully, what do we say? They're moving fluidly. Like fluid is like the foundation of what makes our bodies work. Like every cell has water in it. Blood is 60+% water. So yeah, that part of the kidney energy where it controls or it governs like the development of embryos. Water is the basis of how it does that. Where does an embryo develop? It develops in the uterus, which is basically a fluid-filled muscle sac. And if you don't have the water to move things in and move things out, right? It's a nourishment process as well as a detox process. Yeah, water is life. Where do we hear that? I don't, I know I can't think of where that saying comes from, but it's true. Water is really the basis of everything. So
It is. Definitely the longevity. And
Oh, yeah.
thinking about the kidney element too, I think that I love the integration of Chinese medicine with Western medicine, with
Mhm.
modern medicine. And just, I get the question often is that people will ask me, well, how does the kidney, what do you mean by the kidney energy relating to my fertility? And then I start explaining, well, you can think of it as your kidney energy. You've got your regular checking account, then you've got your 401k. We don't want to tap into 401k too early. We want to make sure we're taking money from the checking account. So that's
Mhm.
essentially how you can think of that kidney energy. And
Yep.
really, fertility is your longevity. And so if you're taking reserves from the 401k because your body isn't really in a place to have fertility at the moment, then we really have to focus on building up that checking account to be able
Yep.
to have the reserves because you don't want to be pulling from the 401k to try to have a baby. That's not going to be good for your body.
That's brilliant, and I'm going to use that
I love
because it really helps explain how what we does helps IVF, right?
Yeah,
Because IVF to me is basically everything's coming straight out of the 401k. We don't understand why there's a fertility issue. So, you do the IVF and it pumps up the follicles and grabs them. But I'm
mhm,
like, but don't you want to show up at the IVF with the strongest, healthiest follicles and eggs that you can get? And make no mistake. I mean, IVF is a remarkable technology. It has helped millions of couples have babies when they weren't going to be able to have it any other way, especially, for example, like blocked fallopian tubes. That's
right.
done. And then there are other reasons for it, right? But it's like what we do is we fill up the checking account so that the body can then draw from that and help nourish and nurture these proto follicles that are then going to be pulled out during IVF. And yeah, that's why, we do the lifestyle work around, eating well and making sure you're drinking enough and then appropriate supplementation and, making sure that body processes are working the way they should. And like you, I do blood work sometimes because I'm like, okay, I want to just check a few things that might be hard to, like I can't see vitamin D in Chinese medicine. Um, we don't we don't go out in the sun in Las Vegas, especially not in the summer, right? So it's funny the number of people, and most of us have indoor jobs. So it's like it's the number of women who come in with vitamin D deficiency. I'm like, okay, that's an issue. We want to make sure that you're getting enough vitamin D. Yes, go outside for 10 or 15 minutes, but may not be enough, especially since I don't want you to turn into a little like crispy toast critter like in the Vegas sun. So okay, so we may supplement with some vitamin D or something like that. But ultimately it's about rebuilding health in the body so that the IVF will work. And a part of that is absolutely that energetic piece of helping the empress, the queen, decide where overall the energetics are going to go. And if you give it away, it's not available inside. That's another part of restoring that checking account is rebalancing where you're spending your energy so that your body is again like, yes, we have the abundance, we can build this fertility, as opposed to just dropping it into, because energy that goes into fertility doesn't really go anywhere else. So if you
Mhm.
don't have enough, your body is going to be like, no, we're not going to put anything into either checking or savings. We're just going
Right.
to spend it as soon as we get it. So it's the overall rebalancing the energetics so that the body can then fill that fertility so that then, yes, you've got the creativity and the energetics to do the fertility if that's what you want to do, but you got to get the heart involved in that. And the kidney in terms of being that checking and savings, that's the I don't know, basically the accountant that's basically going, okay, well, we're going to put the money over here or over there or there. And putting money into a 401k only happens if you have enough money to deal with your daily
Hmm.
essentials. And so you're not going to put money in the 401k, which is kind of fertility, unless you've got enough. And the part of the way you get enough is you make sure you're not spending more than you're making, and you're also spending it on the right things. So that's the kidney, is that it helps feed the fertility because it's making sure that, yeah, everybody is getting what they need.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's also, thinking about just I know that some of this the listeners might be thinking, "Oh, some of this is high level. This is getting a little bit, up there
Theoretical.
for me." But just to kind of some down what I'm going to say is that it's really powerful to remember that when you are bringing a child into this world or children, you want to be in the best version of yourself. I'm not saying being perfect because you already are perfect. There really is no such thing as perfect because you already are perfect. In the universe's eyes, you're absolute perfection. So, not perfect in human eyes. So, I definitely want to make sure that I state that because that is one area that in people with struggling with fertility obstacles that will get shameful and feel guilty because
Yeah.
they feel
Yeah.
like they're not good enough. So
Yep.
definitely don't want to state that. But when I talk about, or I want to state that I'm not talking about that. So what I want to say is that being in the best version of yourself for your kids, for your children. And
Yeah.
so what you're learning through your fertility journey is really going to help them to
Yeah.
be able to trust themselves and to have love for themselves and to be able
Yes.
to say no, like what you were talking about with your client
Yeah.
earlier. And so some of these wonderful, amazing gifts that we learn through transformation and a fertility journey is absolutely a transformational journey.
Oh, yes.
And so you learn so much about yourself and actually how powerful you truly are and you transfer that to your children and so then they are better humans and not that you weren't a great human before you went through a fertility journey. I don't mean that either, but you're creating humans on this earth that are grounded and able to really help others, and so
And
it's really
and
beautiful.
yeah, and not only just help others, because it's about knowing what your body and your heart and you as a person need, and that you deserve it, and that
Mhm.
it's okay to take care of yourself. And I'm not talking about splurging. Occasional splurging, of course, it's fine, but I'm talking about just basic self-care, because we live in these animal bodies and it needs care, and we live in this heart and
Mhm.
it needs care. And by taking care of that and taking care of yourself, what you do is you actually create yourself to be a better parent, because you know that if you don't take care of yourself, everything else eventually also starts to fall apart too. All right. It's so one of the things, so I wanted to, like, one of the little gifties that I wanted to give some, as a result of, or for this podcast is I've got this um, image, this metaphor that I like teaching my patients, and that is, you're not a fertility warrior. Like, so many women come in thinking they have to fight infertility.
Mhm.
The issue is that infertility is not something that is out there. Infertility is in here. It's in your body. And
Mhm.
it's not actually a battle that you need to fight. It's a message from your body, from your heart, from your spirit going, hey, you are not taking care of yourself. You are not living your life somehow. Like, there is something that is out of balance that is creating this inability of your body to nurture and nourish the fertility the way you want it. I really the image of the fertility warrior distresses me greatly, because anything where you're setting yourself up to fight yourself is a losing battle. You just can't win it. You cannot win this battle.
Yeah.
So I think of it more as like a garden. Like, we are gardens. We have to be nurtured and cared for. We need sunlight. We need water. We need, healthy fertilization. We need care. And when you care for a garden, right, then what happens is that the plants will start to flourish, whether it's trees or rose bushes or little seeds in a pot, like whatever it is. You need to nurture and nourish it, and that's the metaphor that I want my patients and women who are dealing with infertility to take away, is that it's a message that, not that they're not perfect, but there's an imbalance somewhere. And this whole ecosystem of the garden, this whole ecosystem of their body needs something, either, and that something can be more of one thing, and less of something else. Too much sunlight is a problem. Yeah, we live in Vegas. Right? It's like too much sunlight is not a good thing. Not enough water is not a good thing. So how do you balance out like creating some shade for the plants that might need a little more shade with giving them enough, like everything enough water, especially in the heat of the summer? And if you think about it, it's like, oh, wait, the heat of the summer. This is something that is going to happen every single year. Okay. So how do I plan for that? How do I work with that? How do I make it so that that is incorporated into my care of the garden so it's not going to cause damage? As opposed to, oh my God, hair on fire. There's this project, this gigantic project that's due, and everything has to be put on hold to deal with this like massive emergency. So in this, if you're not dealing with it in the summer, yeah, the sunlight is a massive emergency, right? But when you're addressing it in balance and you're like, yes, there are times in life when you're going to have these big things, whether it's too much sunlight, too much rain, depending on where you live, or in life where you have this gigantic project. You need, and you know these things are going to happen at work. There are times at work which are busier. There are times at work which are less busy. So if you know, like, oh yeah, this is always around this time of year we get busy, what can you put into place to preventatively keep yourself like in a good place so that even going through it, it's not going to completely blow everything out of the water? It's that idea of nurturing and nourishing and caring for things and recognizing that when the foundation is solid and you've really put things into balance, you can weather most issues.
Mm-hmm.
So what I tell my patients is, and one of the PDF is like, you are a fertility garden. Nurture yourself and you will be nurturing your fertility. And that is not just with food, it's nurture your creativity, do things that make you happy, do things that bring you joy, right? It's like, I don't care if you like drawing and you suck at it. Does it bring you joy? Great. Please plan in time where you set aside a couple of hours a week and you do the thing that makes you happy, because we deserve to be happy. We deserve to have joy. Joy is actually something we need to commit to and put into our lives because most of us don't, right? And so nurturing the heart, nurturing the body, nurturing the spirit, all of that brings things back into balance so that you're better off no matter what it is that you wind up doing, you know, whether it's fertility or dealing with work or just going through life. It's a garden.
Yeah.
It's a garden. It's not a battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. And wherever that fertility warrior came from. I've always been funny about that too. I think I've tried to take it off everything that I've created. But I think if there is a straggler out there, but I'm funny about that too. I don't really, they're just things that are used interchangeably, and we'll just talk about fertility because that's what this podcast is
Right,
about.
right.
That I don't know. It just, that's one of them. Just don't feel comfortable with it because it kind of it does it feels like a battle, and I know
Right.
that people do feel like they're battling when they're going through infertility,
They
which I
do.
also don't like the word infertility. I try not to use
Right,
that as well. Just personal just feeling about it. I don't want people to ever think there's anything wrong with them,
right.
that there is hope, and there is transformation that's happening, getting you to
Yes,
where you need to be.
right.
But yeah, it's
It's
we want to create growth
yes,
versus being like, oh, we've got all this, you know, this stagnant sort of fighting sort of energy.
yes,
And yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, it's, if we think of the uterus, I mean, the uterus is a muscle and it responds to, that's why I think in IVF with doing acupuncture for an embryo transfer is so powerful because it helps to relax the uterus so that it can receive the embryo. But if you're not ready for the
right.
pregnancy, that's why they fail too. So,
Mhm.
there people really have to think about, it's not just getting acupuncture just before the transfer and thinking that that's going to be the shoe in. Like,
Right. It's going to fix everything. I mean,
right.
you know, the studies are clear that it's like it does help because transfer is always really stressful. You know, the woman is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like this is it. This is it." And it's like, "Yes." And you know what? It's like, let's go into this saying you have no control because you don't, right? It's like it's up to the embryo and it's up to the uterus to establish a dialogue.
Mhm.
And then you want your side of the dialogue to be like opening and welcoming and relaxing and just go, hey, it's great, the water's warm, come on in, we'd love to meet you. And so yes, that pre and that post acupuncture thing, the Paulus procedure that a lot of
Right.
women, that's how they come to acupuncture. It's of service because it can help settle things down, but it's just the very tip of the iceberg. There's so many more things that can be done through the transformative journey of acupuncture to help rebalance fertility, to make your body a place, and your heart and your life a place where it's nurturing and nourishing and welcoming and open and relaxed, to allow an embryo to basically go, yes, I can make myself a life here. So I'm always like telling patients it's a dialogue, right? And that pre and post thing, it's like that's the final little piece that we put into place, and it's the icing on the cake. It's not even the icing, it's a little rosette that we're putting on the cake. Let's build something that's just much more open and healthy and welcoming, because that'll make it so much more likely that it'll succeed. But also, going through this, you will be better. Like, you will feel healthy, you will feel more balanced, you'll feel better at the end of this, whatever the outcome is. Do I want my patients to get pregnant? All of them? Yeah, absolutely. And it's understanding that ultimately we can, it's a journey of transformation to help that person, that woman, be as healthy and as like in tune and authentic with herself as possible, because that's the foundation of where it is. And I wanted to bring up one other point, is often in that like fertility warrior sort of conversation, women, and it's not even around just around fertility, it's like all of us, it's like all of us learn, we have these inner critics that like talk down to us, and they're like, oh, that was a dumb decision, or why did you do that, or all this negative self-talk. And it's coming from in here and it's going down in there. And I look at that and I'm like, how could you possibly think that talking to yourself
Right.
down to yourself like that is going to help you get back into balance and be healthier? Because those eggs that we're trying to nurture and nourish, and that fertility environment, that womb that we're trying to nourish, exists again within that field of your body and with the field of your mind that your mind creates. And if you're creating all this negative energy with this self-talk, you're that energetic, your eggs are going to feel that. Like, that negative energy vibrates through. And this because, it's like we've all done that, where, even us acupuncturists who are supposedly more enlightened, like we, or we're more aware, right? It's like we'll do something and we'll go, oh my God, that was so stupid. Why did I do that? And it's like, wait, stop. It just happened, right? It's a thing that happened. My attention slipped. I wasn't paying attention, whatever. But I'm not going to go get down on myself for it, because I'm human. I'm not perfect, not in, and so when I do that to myself, I try and reverse it and go, nope, 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 nope. We are not stupid. We are not bad. We are not dumb. We're fine. We're perfect. Shit happens, and we make mistakes because we are perfect beings in imperfect body and imperfect lives. And so it's like, okay, nope, nope, not bringing that. I do not want to talk to myself like that, because I don't want to carry that around. So what I do is I talk to myself like I would talk to my best friend, or like in my most, hopefully, of my better parenting moments, I would talk to my kids in terms of, okay, all right, so let's talk about like why that happened and what we can do to avoid it in the future. And it's like, I'm not mad at you because you were bad. It's like, it's just, we need to look at the decision process, like, or whatever it is that's going on. It's like, talk to them from a place of compassion and empathy, and we can grow and be better from this, right? And it's the same thing with women when they are trying to get pregnant. And it's about, look, your body, those eggs are growing in you. While we're talking about an energetic level and a spiritual level, it happens in the body, it happens in the meat body. And so, but energy, everything is energy, and your body is just a more solid form of energy. And so when you've got that self-talk, going on, where it's like, the negative talk of like the infertility and the fertility warrior and all that, that tight, angry stuff, that energetic is going to propagate down to the waves, and that's not going to create anything helpful. So
Right.
I ask my patients to talk to themselves like they want to talk to their future baby, because that's actually what they're doing. Because those eggs are in there, right? We came out of our mother's wombs with all those eggs that we've got. So those eggs have been like listening and bathing in those energetics and emotions. So it's like it's up to us to take the opportunity to talk to ourselves and talk to our eggs in a positive, compassionate, open way, that it's like, yep, this is a journey. I'm doing my best. I'm feeling better. I'm doing things so I feel better, so that I can have this baby and nourish this baby, and talk and create that energetic field within yourself that is positive and forward looking, right? Nothing is promised. Nobody can promise that you will get pregnant, not IVF, not acupuncture. But all of the pieces of the journey that my patients go on when we're dealing with fertility is a I guess it's called a growth mindset, where it's like it's about opening and being receptive and changing things to be the best version of ourselves that we can, because at the end of this all we have is ourself. And so whatever women are doing to help improve their fertility, if they're talking to themselves and they're talking like, talking to themselves like they're talking to their eggs and talking to their baby, it's going to unfold potential, not close it down.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a great way to explain it and very powerful information. Yeah, there's so much power in all of this. And we, Lisa, are on a path to educate and to be able to help
Yep.
people find their power within. And absolutely part of that, part of our job is absolutely helping bring babies here and having people have success with fertility. So, just real quick, Lisa,
Yes.
how can we find you? How can the listeners find you if they're interested in your programs, as well as I know that you are in Las Vegas. So
I
anyone that
will
is in
be.
Las Vegas, do you see people virtually as well? Tell us
I
more about how people can find you.
so my website, I actually have a program. I
Mhm.
have two programs. One of them is fertilityblueprint.co. So no M on the end of it. And that is a program that I actually designed in concert, like in cooperation with two reproductive endocrinologists that I work with. And what I asked the reproductive endocrinologists are, what are the things that you wish your patients knew that you don't have enough time to educate them on, but you would really like them to learn? And what I did was I took their responses and created a program where it works with like the physical stuff, and it does give like advice about supplements and things like that. And it's a short program. It's only about 2 hours. I also talk about male fertility in there. And so if you add in the male module, it's about 2.5 hours. But it's a very compressed version of my longer program. And I found that that was necessary because I do have patients who like may already be on medications, like they're already on birth control and it's set and they're going to go. And it's like, okay, well, so then let's see what we can change for like short term and short long, like short medium term, in order to help things out. So that's fertilityblueprint.com or .co. I have what I call my 90-day fertility reset, which is a much bigger program. And my thought behind that is doing more of the spiritual and emotional aspect. And I start off by teaching patients like for the basis of the fertility. So I my metaphor is fertility is your health, and your fertility is a triangle. Fertility is at the top, and we need everything else at the base of the triangle to be healthy, so that we can get to the fertility piece. And I start off by talking about the energetic and emotional imbalances and the way to bring things back into balance. And that's that whole heart, mind, and uterus connection. That program is Fertility Reset Online, and it's fertilityresetonline.com. And then my website for women who might be in the Vegas area or want to like contact me and possibly do some virtual work, because I do some virtual counseling, is springmountainsacupuncture.com. Mountains is plural. The Spring Mountains, it's a range of mountains. So Las Vegas is in a basin, and a big part of the mountains that are on the east and north side it's the Spring Mountain Range. And it's beautiful. Like watching the weather over the mountains and come over the mountains. That's what inspired me to name my practice that, because I had never lived in a place where there were mountains like this. And so, yes, it's springmountainsacupuncture.com. And my contact information is on the website. And the website has a link to my YouTube channel too. And I don't remember what the actual URL for that is. So if you want to see my YouTube videos, go to springmountainsacupuncture.com, or go to the fertilityresetonline.com, and you can click on the YouTube icon. And I'm always happy, like if I have someone who contacts me and I feel like they need more than what I can offer, or if there's something else like going on, and I'm like, because I mostly I treat fertility. I do treat other forms of issues. I treat women for just general reproductive system issues, in case they don't want to get pregnant, but they want to deal with their endometriosis or deal with their PCOS or just feel better and healthier. I'm happy to do virtual consults about those too, because there are a lot of energetic things and as well as lifestyle choices or changes that can be made that will help women just feel more like themselves and feel healthier as they're moving through life, whatever path they're choosing. So that's how people can find me.
That's amazing. Well, we will definitely make sure that is in the show notes. So anyone listening, that you will be able to click on those links easily if you weren't able to write them down. So thank you so much for all that information.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always it's a joy to have a conversation with somebody who's in the same field and understands and like really gets how the emotions and the energetics and the heart and the mind all play together in terms of the fertility.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. I think that we could probably talk for hours, Lisa. In fact, we generally, when we get together, we just start going off on a tangent. Well, thank you so much for being on Fertile Frequencies today.
Sounds good. Thank you.
If today's conversation on the heart and womb connection landed with you, remember, the pause isn't punishment, it's preparation. Join me on the next episode here at Fertile Frequencies, where we're going deeper into energy healing after pregnancy loss, how grief lives in the body, ways to create nervous system safety, and gentle practices to reconnect with your fertility and spirit baby bond with compassion. You don't want to miss this. My guest on the next episode is absolutely incredible, and you are going to love this next episode. And if this helped your body exhale, don't forget to tap follow and leave us a quick 5-star review and share with someone who needs calm and clarity. And remember, for us to keep this podcast going and to keep this wonderful information coming your way for your fertility journey and success, we need your support. Your support means everything to us, just as much as helping you to have the success that you deserve on your fertility journey. And for deeper support, DM the word HEAL for trauma-informed next steps, or the word READY for my Fertility Reset program. Links are all in the show notes. And until next time, beautiful, remember to regulate, receive, and stay in your fertile frequencies. See you in the next episode.